All right, look, living in Dallas can be quite expensive, but just how expensive? And that's exactly what I'll be going over in this video. So stay with me as I break down real numbers behind the cost of living in Dallas, Texas. Because while yes, it's not as expensive as living in other major cities throughout the nation, Dallas, Texas is actually one of the most expensive cities to live in here in the state of Texas. If you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Alex Zamarripa. I've been helping people buy and sell real estate here within the Dallas area right under 5 years now. And I've also been living in the DFW my whole life. On this channel, I talk about what it's like living here, different neighborhood guides, property tours, real estate tips, and a lot more. And if you're thinking about buying a home here in the Dallas area, I've actually included a free list of homes currently for sale right under $500,000. So I'll go ahead and put a link to that in the description below. Now with all that aside, let's get back into the video. So earlier this year, I had a family reach out to me asking me about the cost of living in Dallas. They were thinking about moving either to Texas or Florida. And other than the pros and cons, they were asking me about the costs of living here. With everything being as expensive as it is right now, it's really important to weigh your options when it comes to costs of living. And so I really just want to go over a few major costs to take into account. And you might be surprised by the 8th one on this list, so stay tuned for that. So starting off with number 1, housing, which is probably going to be the biggest expense that you have. I'll be going over renting and home prices. So if you're thinking about renting a 1-bedroom apartment within the city, you can expect to pay anywhere between $1,500 to $2,000 per month. If you're thinking about renting a 1-bedroom in the surrounding suburbs, your rent can be as low as $1,200 to up to about $1,500 per month. And for a 3-bedroom within the city, you can expect to pay anywhere between $2,500 to $3,500 a month. Now, of course, renting prices vary depending on where exactly you're wanting to live within the city. And the same obviously goes for housing costs. So let's talk about that. The median home price within the city of Dallas is currently roughly around $400,000 to $450,000. Oh, and keep in mind that one of the biggest pros about living within the state of Texas is that while we don't have income taxes, we do have what's known as property taxes here within the state of Texas. And within Dallas, the tax rate is currently somewhere around 2.3% of your assessed value, which is one of the highest in the country. So let me just give you a quick example of what your mortgage on a $450,000 house would look like. Let's say you found a dream home that costs about $450,000. And just as an example, let's say you put down about 20% down on this house. I'm not saying that that's how much you should do. While some of the lenders I work with have been able to help buyers put down as low as 4-5% as a down payment. For the sake of this example, let's just say that you put down 20%. That would leave your loan amount at about $360,000. And at the time of this recording, the interest rate is at about 6.4%. So your monthly mortgage payment would be somewhere around $2,245. Once you add property taxes and insurance to this, you can add on an additional $788 for taxes and $192 for insurance, bringing the total monthly mortgage cost to about $3,225 for a $450,000 home if you're putting 20% down. Now, yes, I know not everyone has $90,000 to put down for a 20% down payment. Once again, this is just a brief example. And this is also without HOA fees and maintenance costs. And number 2 on the list, we have utilities. Look, Texas summers and Dallas summers, as a matter of fact, can be quite hot. And so your utility bills can be quite brutal. So for your electricity, water, and gas and trash payments, you can expect to pay anywhere between $150 to $300 per month, obviously depending on how much you're blasting the AC. And for your internet and cable, you can expect to spend anywhere between $100 to $200 per month. Number 3 on the list, we have transportation. As I've previously mentioned in one of my videos, Dallas isn't exactly known for our public transportation. Because of that, most residents here have to rely on their own personal vehicles, which is actually one of the cons of living here in Dallas, especially with the amount of traffic that we get, how far certain people are commuting, and just like in every other major city, you can have some pretty bad drivers. I'm not saying everyone's like that, but you will have the occasional one or two. But anyways, our current gas prices are close to about $2.80 per gallon. For car insurance, you can expect to pay somewhere between $150 to $250 per month, obviously depending on what kind of deductibles and coverages you get. And if you are blessed enough to be close to one of the stops for DART, which is our public transport here in Dallas. If you choose to get a monthly pass, that'll be somewhere around $96 per month. And number 4, groceries and dining. In Dallas, we have a ton of different options when it comes to dining out. Luckily, that comes with some range, so you do have some more relatively affordable restaurants, as well as some high-end restaurants. First of all, for groceries, you can expect to pay anywhere between $300 to $600 per month for about 1 or 2 people. For example, our milk is currently at about $3.50 per gallon. Our eggs are somewhere around $4.50. It really gets me thinking about getting chickens of my own. And for a loaf of bread, you can expect to pay somewhere around $3. For dining out, at some mid-range restaurants, you can expect to pay about $15 to $25 per person. And for fine dining, you'll probably spend anywhere between $50 to $100 or more. And then for all my coffee lovers, yes, even in Texas, you'll be spending anywhere between $4 to $6 per cup. Number 5 on my list is healthcare. If it's not covered by your employer, you can expect to spend anywhere between $400 to $800 per month. For doctor's visits, you will be spending anywhere between $100 to $150 without insurance. And for specialist visits, you can expect to pay a minimum of $200. Number 6 on the list, we have childcare and education. For good daycare options, you'll be spending a minimum of $1,000 to about $1,400 per month. And some of the private schools here are charging about $10,000, and others charge up to about $25,000 per school year, which is quite a lot. But luckily, public schools here are free. But keep in mind, that's what's being funded by those hefty property taxes. Now, while this can't be said for every single school here, some of the top-rated public schools are actually found here within the city of Dallas and within some of the surrounding suburbs. Number 7 on the list, we have entertainment and fitness. First of all, you have a lot of free options when it comes to fitness and entertainment here. Not only do we have a ton of free parks, but we also have some hiking trails here within Dallas and within some of the surrounding suburbs. For example, you have the Cedar Ridge Preserve, a little bit south of Dallas. You also have, once again, a ton of public parks with basketball courts. You have tennis courts, a lot of pickleball courts, which are really popping off right now. You have the DMA, which is the Dallas Museum of Art, which is actually free to get into. You really only have to pay when the DMA is hosting some kind of exhibit, but other than that, entry is pretty much free. You have the Clyde Warren Park, a lot of other new parks that are currently being developed. As far as gym memberships go, you have a ton of different options. For example, you can find some that are only charging as low as $10 per month, while some other high-end gyms are charging closer to $30 up to upwards of about $100 per month. And keep in mind that we do have a ton of music halls and different sporting stadiums here within Dallas and some of the surrounding suburbs. For example, we have the Dallas Cowboys, we have the Rangers in Arlington, and there are always some different concerts being held at the American Airlines Center, at the Irving Toyota Music Factory. So between these events, you can spend anywhere between $50 to about $150, and that's on the low end as well. But once again, you have a lot of other options when it comes to entertainment. You have a ton of different bars, a ton of different clubs, fitness classes, not just typical gyms. And lastly on the list, we have taxes. As I'm sure a lot of you are aware, here in the state of Texas, we don't have an income tax, which is a huge win for a lot of people. However, as I've already mentioned, we do have a local property tax rate, which for Dallas is somewhere around 2.3%. And our sales tax here is 8.25% on most purchases. So here's a quick recap of the monthly cost for just one person. If you were just renting a 1-bedroom apartment, your rent would be somewhere around $1,500 per month. Your utilities would be closer to about $200 per month. Your groceries would be somewhere around $300 to $400 per month. For your transportation, let's just say, for example, that you had to commute, somewhere around $300 to $400 per month as well. And for entertainment and dining, a minimum of $200 per month, depending on how frugal you are or how much fun you're actually trying to have. So that brings your total close to about $2,700 to $3,000 per month. So look, don't get me wrong, Dallas is a fantastic place to live in. Really important to take into account the cost of actually living here, because some of these costs can sneak up on you at times when you're not aware of them. So now that you know a little bit more about the actual cost of living in Dallas, Texas, you might be wondering, well, what are the benefits and downsides to living in Dallas, Texas? If that's you, feel free to check out this video where I list the top pros and cons of living in Dallas, Texas. And you can also check out this video here to check out some different property tours and some neighborhood guides here.